Hi, and welcome to the Flex University presentation of Why and How to Sell Medicare. I'm your host, Joe Gladys, one of the Medicare consultants here at Flexible Benefit, and I'm going to take you through today's presentation. And there's a reason why we call it Why and How to Sell Medicare as opposed to the better sounding How and Why, because first we want to offer to you the opportunity that is available to us in Medicare, so that's the why we want to start selling Medicare solutions. And then we'll talk about positioning the various products, and that's the how to sell Medicare. So let's go ahead and get things started for you. All right, so today's agenda is first, like I said, we'll talk about the exploding Medicare opportunity. We'll briefly touch on understanding the basics of Medicare and positioning Medicare Supplement versus Medicare Advantage. We'll talk about some strategies for success. We'll do a couple of case studies looking at whether it's better to be on a group plan or individual with so many people working past the age of 65 today. And we'll talk a little bit about Medicare certification, which has already begun. And then we'll just touch on why you want to work with Flex as your partner in the Medicare space. And then we'll wrap up with some final comments. All right, so to get started, let's talk about a few of the trends in the Medicare marketplace. Why do I want to get into the game and start selling Medicare solutions to people out there in the marketplace? All right, well, right now in the market, it is by far the greatest opportunity that we have in the health insurance marketplace. The baby boomer population is growing tremendously. If you look at this graph, in the middle is growth, and it is everywhere. It's fueled by the baby boomers that are now turning 65 at a rate of somewhere close to 12,000 people per day in America. Not only that, we have an aging population. People are living longer, they're living healthier. There's also been massive changes in retiree health care plans. Many people thought that they would have insurance through their employer all the way through their retirement. And those plans have either become too expensive or actually have been discontinued by many employers. Another interesting note is that this baby boomer generation and our retired population controls a considerable amount of the nation's wealth. And most importantly, why they need us, agents and brokers, to help. There is mass confusion in the marketplace when it comes to choosing a Medicare solution. In fact, CMS, the government body that administers all things Medicare, will tell you that 92% of all Americans are absolutely confused as to their options when it comes time to picking a Medicare plan. And this is regardless of socioeconomic or educational levels. 92% of all Americans have no idea what they're supposed to do. All right, so let's talk about some of the things going on out there. Did you know that in 2011, as I had mentioned, this baby boomer population began turning 65 at an unprecedented rate? Again, depending on whose numbers you want to look at, that number today is somewhere between 11 and 12,000 people every day, which means once every 7 seconds in America, somebody is turning 65. So there is a massive population explosion here of people that need assistance with Medicare solutions. All right, this Medicare eligible population is going to continue growing, and it's actually closer to 2020. 1 in 5 Americans is going to be 65 or older. Never in the history of this country has a greater percentage of our population been over 65. I mentioned earlier, seniors control nearly 75% of the wealth in the United States, staggering $7 trillion. I got so excited about the trillion. But a $7 trillion accumulation of wealth for our seniors. They have a ton of money, but they need options, and the best options to help them preserve that because they're living longer. Okay? If a couple reaches 65 in relatively good health, this is one of my favorite stats, there is a 1 in 2 chance that one of them is going to live to be the age of 94. So that means one of those 2 individuals in that couple is going to need Medicare solutions and retirement income for 30 years. That's a really long time as compared to our parents' generation. So this is a real fear and a real concern moving forward. Okay? The fear is real. The unpredictable cost of illness and health care is by far the baby boomers' biggest fear. A 65-year-old couple retiring in 2016 can expect to incur about $288,000 in medical costs during retirement. And if you add in things like dental, vision, and hearing, that number goes up to about $377,000. That's a big bite out of the retirement nest egg. Okay, it's estimated that 57% of your Social Security benefits will go to the cost of health care through retirement. Sadly, many Americans have been banking on Social Security to be their retirement solution as they get into their advanced years. And if you look at that number, almost 60% of their benefits are going to go to health care alone. Well, people still need to eat. They need to keep a roof over their head. You've worked hard. You want to be able to travel, whatever it may be. That's too much of your money going to health care. All right. So those are some of the trends and some of the things that are happening in the marketplace. Let's talk about why you'd want to get into the game. Why should I be selling to these seniors and helping them with their Medicare solutions? Well, I mentioned earlier this population boom. The graph below here is a great illustration of just how dynamic this population explosion is with the baby boomers. If you look at where we are at the bottom in the years, if you look at 2016 and you drew a straight line up to the top line, which is the population of 65 and older in America, you can see we're right at the beginning of this line taking off and exploding. And this is going to continue for the next 35 or 40 years, just a massive amount of Americans turning 65. If you look at the bottom line, it illustrates people 85 and over in America, and you can see we're really at the beginning of a massive population shift of people being 85 and over. Just mentioned earlier how 1 and 2 has a good chance of making it to 94. I mean, this is crazy. So people are living longer. They're living healthier. They need the money to go further. We need to help them find the right solutions. All right, this is the slide that if any of you have ever heard Joe Gladys speak before, is the one that really drives home the opportunity to me in the Medicare market. Currently in America, this is across the country, for every 185 Medicare supplements that are sold, only one of them is being sold by an agent. For every 2,250 drug plans in America, only one is sold by an agent. For every 4,090 Medicare Advantage plans, only one of them is being sold by an agent. Who's selling the rest? People are either going to Medicare.gov and signing up directly through the website, or you can't turn on your computer in the fall without seeing a banner ad from Aetna, Humana, United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield. They're all out there. Soon you'll see TV commercials all over the place, although being in an election year, that might be cut back a little bit from the norm, but so many times during the fall I've walked into somebody's home to see a United Healthcare or a Humana ad running on their TV as I walk into the home to discuss Medicare solutions. So think about these numbers. There are far too few people being assisted by agents. And if you think about the numbers, 12,000 people a day turning 65 in the country. 2/3 of those people are picking Medicare Advantage as their solution. You make currently in 2016 $429 first-year commission on a Medicare Advantage plan. That means that for every day, there is somewhere around $3.4, $3.5 million of commission being left on the table just with Medicare Advantage plans. I'm always very fond of saying I've put one through college, I've got 2 more to go. We've got to grab a share of this pie that's out there and this great opportunity. And not only are we helping ourselves by making commissions on these products, but we're helping people when they need it the most. They just don't know what their choices are and what the solution should be for them. This is a tremendous opportunity where it truly is a win for the client, and it's a win for you as the broker by being able to capture these commissions. All right, let's drill it down to the Illinois market. We have almost 2 million Medicare beneficiaries in the state, and actually closer to almost 1.2 million in the Chicago metro area alone. And it's somewhere around 420 people a day just in Chicago turning 65. I'm sorry, that's the Illinois number, 212 in Chicago every single day needing help. Okay? Across the country, 29% in Illinois, 29% of the people are enrolled in a Medicare supplement, 15% are enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan. Those numbers are changing dramatically and very quickly in this state. We're one of only, I believe, 2 states in the country where Medicare supplements still outsell Medicare Advantage plans, and I'll show you those numbers in just a second. But at the end of the day, Medicare Advantage has grown tremendously in the last 4 years here in Illinois, and my guess is that by 2020, 2021, Medicare Advantage plans will definitely be outselling Medicare supplements in Illinois. Okay, this is the graph I had alluded to. If you look at it, we have about 54 million people in the Medicare market currently. About a little over a third of all Americans are actually getting their insurance from something outside of Medicare. It could be an employer-sponsored plan, it could be TRICARE, it could be VA benefits, whatever it may be. Some people are receiving Medicaid, and unfortunately, there are about 9% of the population that has no coverage whatsoever. But if you look at the bottom left side of the graph here, Medicare Advantage is now capturing about 31% of all Medicare eligible people for insurance options, and Medicare supplements, also known as Medigap, is only 15%. So across the country, again, Medicare Advantage is the go-to solution in the market, and you're going to see that change dramatically here in Illinois in the next 5 years. All right, no presentation on how and why to sell Medicare would be complete without just touching very briefly on understanding the basics of Medicare. So let's just cover that real quick. If you hear somebody refer to the term original Medicare, they're referring to Part A, which is hospitalization, and Part B, which is your doctor costs, outpatient care, testing, lab work, those types of things. That's original Medicare. Part A, almost all Americans get automatically upon turning 65. Depending on your particular situation, Part B, you can be automatically enrolled, but oftentimes you need to call Social Security to get enrolled in Part B. Part A typically has no cost for most Americans. Part B does come with a premium currently in 2016 for most Americans, not all because it is income-based, but for most Americans it's $121.80. And if you're going to have a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan, you must have both Part A and Part B. Okay, Part C is what is known as Medicare Advantage. Here, your Part A and Part B benefits are combined into one plan. Most of the plans offered in Illinois also include the prescription drug coverage, which is known as Part D, so it is a fully comprehensive plan. The big difference with Medicare Advantage is that a private insurer takes over your care, so they're responsible for A and B, and by law they must cover at least as well as A and B does, and in virtually every instance they're going to give you better coverage than original Medicare does. And again, they will typically include the Part D prescription drug plan. The other interesting note with Medicare Advantage plans is now you will have to work within that carrier's network of providers for Medicare. So if you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield Medicare Advantage plan, you need to use their network in order to receive benefits at the best price. Same thing with United Healthcare, Humana, Aetna, or anybody else who's in that space. If you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, you're going to work within their network. Under original Medicare, there is no network with A and B. There are no networks. Any provider that accepts Medicare assignment, you can go see anywhere in the country. So when you get a Medicare supplement, original Medicare pays 80%. The supplement picks up the 20% that original Medicare doesn't cover. There's a whole bunch of different Medicare plans. We call it the alphabet soup for supplements. It runs from A through N, but in one way, shape, or form or another, those plans are going to cover the 20% that original Medicare doesn't cover. The last component is Part D, which I had mentioned, is the prescription drug coverage. There's 2 ways to get your Part D coverage. One is a standalone prescription drug plan, which you can have in conjunction with original Medicare, or you can have that in conjunction with your original Medicare, a supplement, and a drug plan. So you can have that standalone either way. Or you can have a Medicare Advantage plan, and most of those plans are going to include the prescription drug coverage with it. So that's your Part D. The other thing with Medicare Advantage is you oftentimes receive additional benefits that original Medicare doesn't cover, and a little later in the presentation we'll get into that. Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to sell these Medicare policies. We talked about the why, the tremendous opportunity that's out there, the population boom that's just been incredible. And besides the aging population, the other thing I didn't mention is our broker population is also aging. So we actually have less brokers today helping people than we have in the past. So there's even more opportunity for those who want to get involved in selling Medicare. So let's talk about how to position these policies. All right? The key when you're going to go out and sell Medicare is proper education. And it's both for the producer and the client. I'm very fond of saying anytime I want a Medicare appointment, my job is to educate you and answer your questions. I'm not going to pick your plan for you. Once I've explained to my clients how Medicare works, most of them can pretty quickly figure out whether they want a Medicare Advantage plan or whether they want a Medicare supplement. They both will take great care of you, but they both work differently. All right, so ethically, we must educate the client on all of their options. So we have to talk about how original Medicare works, how the supplements fit into this, and how Medicare Advantage works. There are 3 options when you retire, and it really is that simple. There really are only 3. You can stay on original Medicare, and it works great, as long as you know you're going to be healthy. But you're risking 20% of whatever that bill is if you're on original Medicare. So you can add a supplement to cover that 20%, or you can go for the Medicare Advantage plans, which combine all your A and B benefits and include the drug plan. But it's our ethical responsibility to educate the client. I can't emphasize that enough. If you're only telling them about supplements, you're not telling them the whole story. They have the right to know what their options are. It's the producer's responsibility to get certified and ready to sell Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plans. You don't need to do any certification or training to sell Medicare supplements, but if you want to sell Medicare Advantage plans or prescription drug plans, you have to do the national certification, which is AHIP, to tell Medicare, I understand how Medicare works. And then you have to certify with each carrier that you're going to represent. So if you're going to sell Blue Cross and Aetna and United Healthcare, you have to certify with each one of those companies, and you have to certify each year, because if you don't, you won't receive your renewal commissions, and your renewal commissions will go to the house. So you did all that work so that the carrier could make even more money. Okay? So a well-informed client can now make the plan choice best suited to their needs, their budget, and their lifestyle if you've properly educated them. Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to sell Medicare. As I've talked about on the last slide, you have to have both Medicare Advantage and Medicare supplements in your arsenal. By having these different products, you're offering additional choice, which is going to lead to more sales and more income for you. Okay, let's talk about a few Medicare Advantage quick facts here. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, nationally about 50% of all Medicare beneficiaries are now choosing Medicare Advantage, and this is across all the carriers across the country. Okay, many of the major carriers are going to offer a $0 premium for their HMO plans and very reasonable premiums for their PPO plans. And I've often had a client say to me, how do I get all of this for $0? And we'll talk about that a little bit. But at the end of the day, there are plans out there that literally cost the client nothing every single month. Okay? Commissions on Medicare Advantage are typically much higher than they are in Medicare supplements. So if the Medicare Advantage plans are the right solution for the client, and we as brokers get paid more for offering the right solution, why aren't you taking the time to get certified and ready to sell Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plans? Okay? The other concern I hear from brokers often is, oh, the compliance and the rules with CMS, oh, it's so difficult. If Joe can learn it, I'm very certain that anybody listening to this presentation can learn it as well. You can learn these things. And we offer compliance training. We're here if you have questions. You can email, call, text us. If you're not sure about something, we'll make sure that you're going out into this market and doing it compliantly and doing it the right way. We will get you ready to sell Medicare. Okay, let's talk about a few Medicare supplement quick facts here. It's a great alternative for those beneficiaries who are going to be traveling frequently, because you don't have to worry about networks. If you're in Florida and you need to see a doctor, you go see a doctor in Florida. If you're in California, you can go see who you need to go see. You have some crazy condition or some life-threatening condition going on, you want to go to the Cleveland Clinic or the Mayo Clinic, you can go when you have a Medicare supplement. There are no networks to worry about. Again, as long as that provider accepts a Medicare assignment, you're good to go. The other type of sup can make sense is if somebody's coming into Medicare and they have serious health issues going on. Early on, Medicare supplement plans are very reasonable in cost, especially when compared to a group plan that they just came off of, or in today's world, the individual plans that have gotten so expensive. So the Med Sup's going to seem relatively inexpensive. The downside is it continues to increase in price over time. So it's going to continue to go up in cost just like our individual plans did. Okay? But it is a good solution for somebody who may be going or undergoing extensive medical treatment right now. So that's a good solution for them. Okay? And maybe they just don't want or need the additional benefits that come embedded in a Medicare Advantage plan. They're just not interested. They just don't care. They don't need them. All right, let's talk about those commissions, because this is a big deal, especially in today's world where we all know what's going on in the individual market. It's where I got my start in the business, and I can't get away from it fast enough. We know that right now during the SEP period, the special enrollment period, none of the carriers want to pay us for helping people. All right, and how much have our commissions been cut over the last 6, 7, 8 years as we got ready for the ACA plans as the market changed? Our commissions have dropped dramatically. Commissions for Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plans are increasing. They're not decreasing and they're not going away. Okay, this year in 2016, your first year commission for a Medicare Advantage plan is $429. That's going to go up to $443 in 2017. And by first year commission, it has to be the client's first time ever on a Medicare Advantage plan. If you're simply taking them from one Medicare Advantage plan to another for better benefits or whatever the reason may be, you're going to get renewal commission. You will not receive first year commission. But if it's the first time they've ever enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan, you will receive first year commission. Okay? These renewal commissions, after the first year, they pay for life. So as long as your client is with us, you will continue to get paid, and you get half. So for 2016, that's $215. In 2017, that goes up to $222. And again, I can't stress it enough, that's for life. When it comes to Medicare supplements, the carriers get to decide what you get paid, but the average first-year commission on a Med Sup is right around $200. Depending on what type of plan you sold them and with which carrier will actually determine your commission. For Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plans, those commission rates are actually set by CMS. So we get that, and it's not going away. The carrier has no control over it. For prescription drug plans in 2016, first year commission is $63. Next year, that increases to $71. Your renewal commission in 2016 is $32. For 2017, it's $36. So if you think about this, and it's your first year out there selling Medicare, and let's just say you went out and did 50 Medicare Advantage plans. You're going to make almost $25,000 in commission. Medicare Advantage plans have about a 94% stick rate, so virtually every one of those plans that you sold is going to renew the following year. Yes, inevitably, we're going to lose a client or two along the way, but you're going to receive half of that in renewal commissions. The next year, you should be even better at selling Medicare Advantage, and maybe you sell 75 plans. You can quickly see how this can snowball and create great residual income for you and your agency by going out there and taking advantage of the opportunity in Medicare Advantage. All right, so there's a couple different approaches you can take when you actually are meeting with the client and you want to present Medicare solutions. You can take what's known as the high to low approach. In the high to low approach, you're going to start with a Plan F Medicare Supplement or Medigap plan. That's typically your most comprehensive, most expensive plan available in the market. You're going to work your way down through Plan G and even Plan A if you want on the supplement side, maybe a high deductible F, all the way down to that $0 premium Medicare Advantage HMO product, So you're moving from a higher fixed cost with that higher premium on the Plan F to lower variable costs on a Medicare Advantage plan, because that plan has a $0 cost and very reasonable co-pays for services provided. $5 for a primary care physician, $35 to see a specialist, maybe $200, $250 for an outpatient surgery. It's very hard to hit the maximum out-of-pocket on Medicare Advantage plans. Okay, so you can go high to low, or you can go the other way. You can swing from low to high. So you can lead with that $0 premium plan and work your way up through maybe a PPO plan that has a premium in Medicare Advantage, all the way up to that Plan F Medicare supplement. So you're going from those lower fixed costs to higher cost. So you can go low to high or high to low. It really doesn't matter which way you go. It's just a matter of how you're comfortable presenting it. There's not a right or wrong answer. It's just, again, informing the client as to what their options are. All right, so let's take a look at how this might work. A little claim illustration here. All right. And we'll use going from both high to low and the low to high approaches, so you can kind of see better how this might work for somebody. So I have a client named Billy Bob Jones, and he ends up being admitted to the hospital due to his unpaid gambling debts and leaves with a bill totaling $57,760. So let's take a look at how our different solutions might work for Billy Bob. All right, on the high to low approach, he could actually just be on original Medicare. Okay, the first thing that's going to happen if he's on original Medicare is each time he gets hospitalized, it's a per occurrence deductible of $1,288. He has unlimited Part B coinsurance, so all of his follow doctor visits, his physical therapy, any testing, lab work, MRIs, X-rays, any of that kind of stuff. He has unlimited costs at 20%. Again, original Medicare will pick up 80. He's going to pick up 20%. And if he stays in the hospital beyond 90 days, he has very limited coverage from Medicare at that point. But Billy Bob was smart and said, hey, I know I need some coverage and protection out there. So he went out and bought himself a Plan F Medicare supplement. Well, original Medicare is going to pick up the first 80% of that $57,760 tab. Then the Plan F supplement is going to pick up the remaining 20% of his expenses. It will cover all of his costs under the Part B coinsurance, including excess physician charges, because physicians can, if they want, charge up to 15% above what Medicare reimburses. You don't see that very often anymore, but it is a possibility, and a Plan F supplement covers that excess physician charge. All right, it's going to provide additional benefits for hospitalization, and it will also offer Billy Bob emergency coverage overseas. So if he needs to get out of the country for a little while to let things cool down because of his debts, I will give him a lifetime $50,000 benefit when he's out of the country for emergency medical services. Okay, so looking at this low to high approach, now Billy Bob went out and got himself a Medicare Advantage plan. Typical Medicare Advantage plan in the Chicago market for an HMO plan has about a $3,400 maximum out-of-pocket for the year. So that's his worst case scenario, is the most you can spend during the year is $3,400. But remember, it's typically a $0 premium plan. But as I mentioned earlier, it's very difficult to hit that $34,000 max out-of-pocket. In fact, only 4% of Medicare Advantage plans nationally each year max out. To get there, he'd have to be hospitalized for 7 nights, 20 days in skilled nursing facility, 9 primary care physician visits, 1 specialist visit, a couple of rides in an ambulance, 5 lab tests, 5 X-rays, and oh, by the way, a $2,000 outpatient surgery. With all of that, he may max out his plan for the year. Typically, most people aren't going to come close. Again, the other thing I mentioned is Medicare Advantage plans generally include some no-cost services to the member, things like your annual physical, cardiovascular screenings, diabetic testing and supplies, cancer screenings, home health care. They will go above and beyond what original Medicare covers on a Medicare Advantage plan. Okay, but not only do you get those enhanced benefits, you also receive a bunch of things on a typical plan that original Medicare and Medicare supplements do not cover. You're going to get podiatry services, vision services, hearing services. There may be dental services included. You'll get a health assessment call from the carrier, just wanting to review with the client what's going on with their health to see if there's anything they can do to help. They all have 24-hour nurse lines. You're not feeling well, but you don't think you need to run off to the emergency room in the middle of the night, you can pick up the phone and call the nurse hotline for advice. One of the great benefits that people love is the Silver Sneakers gym membership. And it's not just at low-grade health facilities. It's Lifetime Fitness, your YMCAs, many hospitals have their gyms included in the Silver Sneakers. You go to silversneakers.com, put in your zip code, and it'll bring up a list. It's a free gym membership included with your $0 premium plan. Most of the plans offer an over-the-counter benefit where you can order stuff from their mail-order pharmacy, or they give you a debit card to purchase things over the counter like cold medicine and allergy medicine, Band-Aids, any of that kind of stuff, vitamins and supplements. Okay, they're giving you free stuff. And then they include optional riders. It may be full dental coverage or full vision and hearing coverage. There's a lot of additional optional riders that can be offered to a Medicare Advantage plan as well. So at the end of the day, you get a lot of extra stuff that you don't get with original Medicare or Medicare supplements. Okay, so let's take a case study now of what's very common in today's marketplace. Very often, people are working beyond the age of 65. And this is where it becomes critical to make sure you're asking the client the right questions and getting the right information back to help them make an informed decision. Helping the individual make the right insurance choice will vary based on their unique circumstances. Everybody's in a different situation, but where this becomes absolutely critical is when you're working with small group employers. If they have fewer than 20 employees, Medicare is the primary payer upon turning 65. So that individual has to get Medicare Part B, or they may be in for a rude surprise when they go off to the doctor and they go get an MRI or a CAT scan done, because the group plan is only going to pay 20% in that instance, and the individual will be stuck with 80%. So if there's remaining enrolled in the small group plan, they need to make sure that they have both Part A and Part B. For large group employers of 20 and above, that's not the case. The group plan remains primary and Medicare pays secondary, and it really typically does not make sense to take your Part B. You're better off deferring that. There's no reason to pay that Part B premium every month until you're actually ready to retire and join a Medicare plan. All right, so let's take a look at what the different options may be, and we're going to focus on that smaller group market right now. Okay, so I'm an employee working for a small group firm. Okay, my typical monthly premium for an individual is about $550 a month, and I think you'd all agree that that's very, very common. Okay, in the real world today, typically the employee is paying half of that, and the employer is picking up the other half. It could be more, it could be less, depending on the employer. But at the end of the day, it's pretty reasonable to expect that that employee is paying $275 a month out of his paycheck for his health insurance benefits. In this next part, I was very generous here, and I think you'll all agree, having a $1,000 deductible in today's marketplace is becoming very, very rare. It's typically more like $2,000, $2,500, maybe as high as $5,000. Okay, so at $1,000, I'm keeping that deductible very low, and we're only putting another $1,000 of out-of-pocket maximum co-insurance into the plan. So the most that this person can spend on this group plan outside of his premium is $2,000. We all know that that's pretty low in today's marketplace. So it just makes this illustration work even better. The plan has a $20 outpatient doctor visit copay, and your typical prescription coverage, $10 for generics, $30 for brand, $50 and above, and so on and so forth. Let's assume this employee goes to the doctor 4 times per year and is currently taking 1 generic and 1 preferred brand medication. Okay, so let's look at what their annual cost would be on this small group plan. Again, that premium is $275 a month. or $3,300 a year coming out of his paycheck just to be in the health plan regardless of how much he uses it. The Part B premium, actually, if he's new to Medicare in 2016, is going to be $121.80, so it's even higher. But if he's been on Part B for a while, he'll be grandfathered in at the old price, $104.90. So to keep things consistent, we'll leave that number alone right now and say that's $1,259. He's got those 4 doctor visits, $20 per copay, so that's another $80 for the year. And then his prescription costs add up to $480 for the year. So the employee's total cost for his health benefits in a normal year, no hospitalization or anything else, is $5,119. All right, so now let's take a look. He decided to get off of the group plan and add a Medicare supplement and a Part D prescription drug plan. He still has to pay that Part B premium, so that's a wash, and we'll still use the old number, $104.90. So that's $1,259. His Plan F premium is $157 a month, so that's $1,884 for the year. He'll have no doctor visit copays on a Plan F supplement. He will have prescription copays and a cost for that prescription drug plan that he's on of $39 a month. His drug copays are going to be pretty similar to what he's used to on the group plan. So now his total annual cost for the year is $4,175. So by getting off of that small group plan and moving over to Medicare, this individual is going to save about $1,000 for the year. So it's pretty significant. I would venture to say about 90% of the time, that individual is going to be better off served going to Medicare and getting off of the group plan. Because again, you have those higher deductibles, you have those higher coinsurance levels, those higher maximum out-of-pockets today in the group world. Most of the time, individuals are going to be better off moving to Medicare. And it's better for the group as well, because getting the older people off the plans reduces the cost of the plan for everybody else in the group that remains behind. All right, so now let's take a look at this individual enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan. Same Part B premium, no premium for the Medicare Advantage plan itself. There's no Part D prescription drug plan charge either because that's included with the plan. And he has a $5 copay for each doctor visit, so it's a whole $20 a year to see his doctors. Prescriptions might be a couple dollars higher, but still very close to what he's used to paying. Now the total annual cost for that individual is $1,871. So being on that Medicare Advantage plan has saved him $3,200 versus being on the group plan for the year, and about $2,200 if he had chosen a Medicare supplement instead of the group plan. So you can see how this Medicare Advantage plan can really work for people today. As long as you can find the doctor in the network, the doctors that this individual cares about, the hospitals they want to go to, if their doctors are available, a Medicare Advantage plan is probably going to be the better solution. And not only for 1 year, but for every year that they're in Medicare, they're going to save significant amounts of money. And again, remember, people are living longer, they're living healthier. The fear is my money going to run out? We can help them save by getting on a Medicare Advantage plan. Again, there are times to sell supplements, but a Medicare Advantage plan can really help the individual. All right, so let's take a study at how a claim would work now for this individual trying to decide whether they're better off on group versus a Medicare plan. All right, so let's assume that the employee was in a major accident and accumulated $50,000 worth of hospital bills. Okay, in addition to those regular office visits and prescription costs that they have each year. All right, again, under original Medicare, everything will be covered for the hospitalization except the $1,288. But let's take a look in each scenario now, how much the employee is going to pay. Okay, if we look at the group plan, the employee would end up spending another $2,000, the $1,000 deductible plus the $1,000 of max out-of-pocket coinsurance. So that total annual cost that he had earlier of $5,119, we add the $2,000 in, and we end up now his out-of-pocket for the year is $7,119. Okay, but the guy went out and got himself a Medicare supplement and a prescription drug plan. Again, all of our costs are going to remain the same. He'll have no out-of-pocket costs for his hospital if he has that Plan F supplement. So the total annual cost of $41.75 remains the same. And now he saves almost $3,000 because he had a major claim this year. Now let's take a look at what happens with the Medicare Advantage plan. Okay, he's going to have some additional costs because the difference with Medicare Advantage is pay as you go. You only pay for what you use. The downside of the Medicare supplement is he's paying all that premium every month, whether he actually uses the plan or not. Okay, so here on the Medicare Advantage, if he goes into the hospital for 5 nights with a $250 copay or whatever it may be, let's say he ends up spending $1,750 in additional costs for the year, maybe an outpatient test, whatever it may be, just to make sure everything's okay after he gets out of the hospital. So now his total annual cost remains the same, the premiums and the prescription copays of $1,871. We add in our $1,750, and now he has spent $3,621 for the year, but he has still saved $3,500 versus the group plan, and still more than $500 versus the supplement. And again, people don't get hospitalized every year. The average person in America over the age of 65 now gets hospitalized once every 7 years. So most years, he's going to have very minimal out-of-pocket expense. It's only if he gets hospitalized, has outpatient surgeries and things like that, where his expenses will increase. But again, that's not happening every year because we're healthier and we're living longer. All right, so let's look at the lifetime cost savings of a Medicare Advantage plan. I've been talking about how this can be significant for somebody if you look at the course of their retirement years. So let's take somebody going from age 65 to age 82, a very reasonable time frame for people to live in retirement, 17 years. The average premium for your Medicare supplement is going to be about $243 during that lifetime, and you're going to be somewhere around $35 for a prescription drug plan. So your annual premiums average out to be $3,336. Over 17 years, it's going to be about $57,000 in premium that they're going to spend for that Medicare supplement. Again, regardless of how often they actually use it. Okay? With the Medicare Advantage plans, again, the average maximum out of pocket on an HMO product is $3,400. So over that same 17-year period, they're paying $0 in premium. If they never used any services, they'd save $57,000. Well, it's not realistic to think you're going to go 17 years in retirement and not have some medical costs. But even if they max out twice, because again, you only get hospitalized once every 7 years, even if they max out twice during those 17 years and spend an average of $700 every other year, they're going to save at least $30,000 of their hard-earned dollars in retirement versus the Medicare supplement. So if you're not offering Medicare Advantage plans to your clients, I can promise you another agent will. And with this population, when you talk about our seniors, they love to talk about their products. And if your client just got another rate increase on their Medicare supplement, and she's hanging out at the senior center with some of her friends, and her friends are talking about their $0 premium plan, and your client's now paying $300 a month for their supplement, and another $40 a month for their drug plan, they're probably going to want to find out more about this Medicare Advantage plan. And if you haven't certified to sell it, you can't talk to your client. So you're probably putting your client at risk, as they're probably going to go talk to their friend's agent instead so they can learn about Medicare Advantage. Don't let that happen to you. Okay? So the Medicare certification has started. The AHIP, which is again the national certification, that covers all your basics. That shows that you understand how Medicare works. Most of the carriers in the space require you complete the AHIP before you can do the certifications with them on their products, their Medicare Advantage and their prescription drug plans. The AHIP is going to cover the basics of Medicare. It's going to cover off on the compliance stuff, the rules and the regulations, and it's going to talk about what fraud, waste, and abuse are when it comes to Medicare. All right, once you make your way through these modules, you have to pass the test with 90% or better, okay? But don't wait. Now is the time to do it. Open enrollment starts October the 15th. The sooner you can get yourself contracted and certified with the carriers, the sooner you can start helping people and actually start getting paid for selling Medicare. And again, we get paid well for selling these Medicare plans. All right. You can see on the screen here the certification links for AHIP. You can go to ahipmedicaretraining.com. But please, if you haven't done it, please contact us here at Flexible Benefit. We can send you a link from Blue Cross Blue Shield that'll give you a discounted price on the AHIP. The AHIP is the only thing that we have to pay for. Normally it's $175, but through this link you get it for $125. Your login will always be your national producer number, and then you just create a password. New for this year, and I apologize because the slide should have been updated, Blue Cross certification now actually goes through the Blue Access for Producer website. There is no more compliance wire. You actually access Blue Cross through the Blue Access for Producers website. And for United Healthcare, you simply go to unitedhealthproducers.com to do their certification. But don't delay. Now is the time. The opportunity in Medicare is unprecedented, but you've got to certify so you can offer Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plans. And if you think about it, for all the people who are listening to this and all my brokers out there in the Chicago area who in the past sold nothing but supplements and didn't certify to sell the drug plan, you did all the work. Why not 15 more minutes to make another $70 on your sale? If all you're going to sell is supplements, why not add the drug plan component? So let's wrap things up with a few final thoughts here. Okay, decide on what your strategy is going to be selling Medicare. Are you going to go high to low, low to high? What carriers are you going to offer? You should have at least two in the Medicare Advantage space. Blue Cross and United Healthcare are excellent solutions here in the Chicago market, but you got to be able to offer choices because Medicare Advantage plans are set up by county. So the same plans are not available in every single county. So you've got to have multiple carriers in your portfolio so that you can get your client enrolled in the best possible solution. And you got to decide, okay, if I'm going to do all this and I'm going to certify, well then I've got to offer not only supplements, but Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plans. You've got to be able to offer all these solutions to your clients. Okay? And then what part of the Medicare population are you going to focus on? Are you only going to go after the people turning 65? Because, geez, there's only 12,000 of them a day in America. Okay? What about the people during open enrollment? This is their opportunity to change plans. Every year, October 15th to December the 7th, is my opportunity to change my plan if I'm not happy. Am I only going to focus on that period of the year? Or am I going to look at all the enrollment periods out there available to us? There are special enrollment periods available. There's all kinds of ways to sell Medicare throughout the year. The population is growing. By serving all of these different enrollment periods, you can create a bustling business with Medicare sales. Don't miss the boat. All right, I always like to throw out a little Medicare marketing tip for you. What's the most important thing you can do when it comes to marketing Medicare? Let people know you sell Medicare. You can't actively solicit business when it comes to Medicare. I can't just hand my cards out to people and say, I offer Medicare solutions. But you'd be amazed by just talking to somebody about Medicare. People will overhear you talking about it and come up and ask you questions. You will have people referred to you as a Medicare expert. So Joe likes to call it the 3-foot rule. If somebody is within 3 feet of you, they should know what you do for a living, and especially when it comes to Medicare, because there aren't enough of us agents and brokers out there helping people. Let people know what you do, and you'll be amazed at what happens. Okay? The carriers all have marketing materials that you can customize with your name on it, and we can get you access to all that once you're certified and trained and ready to sell Medicare. All right? So if you have any questions at all, you have 3 go-to contacts here at Flexible Benefit. You have Larry Kassman, myself, Joe Gladys, and Marianne Graben, who many of you may know from the individual side, has now come over to join us on the Medicare side as well, because that is the opportunity going forward. Okay, we all know the struggles in the individual market, but if you have questions, you're not sure about compliance issues, not sure what to do to get started and get certified. We have all kinds of trainings available, workshops, webinars, seminars. It's all out there. Just reach out, send us an email, give us a call, whatever it takes. But now, more than ever, is the opportunity in Medicare. Take advantage of it. Start putting some additional commission dollars in your pocket. And most importantly, go out and help these people who need it. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And again, feel free to reach out with any questions whatsoever. And we look forward to working with you going forward. Thanks so much.